WOTW HD2 Windermere, Bud 94.1. From the attorneys Justin Clark and Associates YouHavePower.com studios, this is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
And welcome to the program and happy weekend to you. Thanks for joining me right here on Bud 94.1. My name is Justin Clark. The name of the show is Behind the Law. I'm here to answer any legal question that you might have. Anything from accident to zoning. Dial up the phones, 321-282-1055. The website, www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. You can watch this show or any past show live on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark, and listen worldwide on the iHeart Radio app. Plenty to talk about today, guys. So much going on in the world, but first of all, I'd like to introduce my good friend and one of the attorneys in our office, Brandon Stewart. Brandon, thanks for being here today.
No problem. Good to be here.
And as always, to his right, my co-host and good friend, Orlando radio legend, Mick Dolan. Mick, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, great to be here.
Good to see you. During the week, we focus mostly on bankruptcy, IRS problems, real estate, personal injury, and even student loan issues. But again, you can call us and ask any question you want. 321-282-1055. YouHavePower.com. We do have Marketing Jake over there taking some pictures, running the video cameras. He was here early today.
He was.
So everything should look pretty good.
Yep.
Thanks for being here early, Jakey. It always makes me happy. I didn't pick him up today. He was here.
Good.
Got to sleep in a little bit.
He walked.
And producing the show, as always, from our sister station, 103.1 The Wolf. Skid, what's up, buddy?
Doing awesome.
Thanks for letting us borrow the studio, as always.
Absolutely.
We'll try to get in and out quickly.
You're fine. Fine.
Yeah, I think four things really separate our firm from other law firms, Mick. And I've told you this before, but I think it's important I reiterate what really separates us from other people. Number one is I'm nice, right? So when you're going through a difficult situation,
A nice lawyer.
you don't ever want to go see a law firm that's going to look down upon you, make you feel even worse. You're already going through a difficult time. Why would you want to go talk to someone who's going to look down on you, make you feel worse, like you're not worthy? That's just not us. It's not how I grew up, not how I was taught to be. It's not like this was my business strategy. Like, I'm going to create a firm that I really treat people with respect. It wasn't a business strategy. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
And that permeates throughout my law firm with our entire staff, and I think you'll find that. Number two is we always offer free consultations. And you're like, well, I've seen all these commercials on TV with these personal injury attorneys, and they all say free consult. And that's true. If you get injured in an accident, they're going to give you a free consultation. But other types of cases, you would be surprised, these law firms will charge you to come in and talk about your situation. We don't do it. We've never done it. We won't do it. And I'll never do it in the future of this law firm. Number three is we offer flat fees with payment plans. So what does that mean exactly? It means that when you come in to hire us for any sort of legal service, you're going to know what the entire case is going to cost from beginning to end before we ever begin. Here's the problem. You might have an issue that the issue is not very big, so you're like, I don't know if I can talk to a lawyer because the lawyer is going to end up costing $20,000.
Right.
When they start billing me hourly over the course of the next year for every little phone call I make or every email I give to them, it's going to be $20,000 in legal fees. Well, we don't do that. We're going to tell you exactly what the fee is going to be up front before we ever start working on your case. And then there are payment plans available as well. So let's say the fee is $2,000. You don't necessarily have to pay the entire $2,000 up front. You can pay it over time. And it's not one of those situations like if you go to the dentist, they're like, oh, we do financing, but you have to call Care Credit and pay interest. It's not like that at all. You just pay us over time. There's no interest. You just pay us over time. And lastly, the one that probably affects me the most is we offer Saturday appointments. We deal with clients a lot of times who are going through a difficult financial situation. And I do not want them to have to further make their situation worse by taking off work to come see me Monday through Friday. So I, myself, personally, will meet with you on Saturday to talk about your legal issues so you don't have to take time off work, so you can get paid during the Monday through Friday and come see me on Saturday. The only thing I would ask is those appointments fill up quickly. So if you're one of these people who you can take off work and still get paid for it, then let's save those Saturday times for people who are hourly, who aren't going to get paid if they have to come see me. And that's it. That's what separates us. And I really think that you're really going to like our firm very much. 321-282-1055. Behind the Law is the name of the show with me, Attorney Justin Clark. But we're really going to talk today about personal injury and accident cases because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. This is the kind of law that you see all the TV commercials for, you hear all the radio commercials for. You know, injured in an accident, call us, that sort of thing. But the name of the show is Behind the Law. And I called it Behind the Law because I want to tell you what's really going on, sort of behind the scenes, cut through the BS and let me tell you what really goes on. And Brandon Stewart is the guy who handles a lot of the personal injury in our office, so that's why I brought him in today to talk about personal injury. So, Brandon, what I really want to focus on today is, number one, how do you pay? How someone gets injured in an accident, how do they pay us, right? I mean, do they have to pay an hourly fee over time? And it's not. It's a contingency fee, how they pay, correct?
Correct.
Please explain how that works.
So, there's obviously different ways to charge someone for legal fees. One of the allowed ways to pay through the Florida bar is through a contingency fee to where you don't actually pay anything up front. You just pay at the back end of the case if we're able to obtain results for you, whether it be through a settlement or after trial. And if for some reason we aren't able to settle or you don't win anything at trial, you still don't have to pay anything. The entire risk is on the firm, but it helps the client because they don't have to pay anything out of pocket for their legal expenses.
What's a typical contingency fee? What percentage? How much do I have to pay you?
It's typically 33 1/3.
And what if I have to file suit?
Then it goes up to 40%.
So the deal is we're going to take typically 1/3. Now, there's nothing wrong with negotiating this. Whether you're using my firm or someone else, you can go in and say, can you do 25? Or can you instead of going to 40 after you file suit, can you leave it at 33? This is not set in stone. I mean, you can try to negotiate this with a lawyer because depending on the case, maybe they can. Maybe it's a really big case, right? It's going to be really easy. Maybe you can negotiate that fee. Here's what I really want to clear up for you. Let's say you have an accident. And you see all these billboards that say, whoever got me $1 million, right? Got me $1 million. You're not getting $1 million in your pocket. And so I want to tell you what you would really expect based on. So let's say we see a billboard for $500,000. Let's really go through and figure out what that person probably got in their pocket, okay? So $500,000. Let's take 33% right off the top for the lawyer fees, right? How much is that? Anyone good at math here?
Oh, God.
All right, so I think that's about, I should have probably done some math before the show, but I believe that would be around 160,000.
I was going to say the same.
Something around in that neighborhood, all right? I'm not very good at math, but I believe Brandon has I was right?
166,650.
Now, minus $500,000 from that,
Yep.
it's going to leave you around $300-something thousand, right? Something like that. But then here's another thing. The attorney's cost, who pays those? Those actually come out of your pocket as well. So any cost that the attorney has fronted for you to handle this case, whether it's an expert witness or just medical records, anything like that, that's going to come out of this case as well. So now we're already down to where are we at now? Let's say the costs are $3,000. So now we're down closer to how much? Come on, pull up the calculator, pal. I didn't bring you here for nothing.
Oh, my God.
But now we're already
75.
So now, all right. So now we're at $175,000 out of your pocket. So $500,000 minus 175 leaves how much? Would you say? Because I really want to kind of figure out what you would get in your pocket. And the $500,000 is a good case. I mean, this is a bad injury case to get $500,000.
Yeah.
But now once we pay the lawyer and pay the lawyer's costs, we're already down to $325. But here's the problem: to get to $500,000 means you had a lot of injuries. Right? That's a lot of medical treatment that you've had. Who pays for the medical treatment? Well, you do, unfortunately. This is going to come out of your settlement. We have a law in Florida called PIP. Help me understand PIP, Brandon.
All right, so PIP is part of what's called a no-fault insurance policy. In Florida, when you have standard insurance, every insurance policy comes with PIP, or personal injury protection, which means that if you get hit in a car accident, whether you're at fault or you're not at fault, $10,000 of that is getting paid through your insurance. So regardless who's at fault, like I said, $10,000 is paid for your medical bills.
Okay, so the first $10,000 is paid, but I can assure you that if you only get $10,000 worth of medical treatment, you're not going to get $500,000.
Right.
To get a $500,000 settlement, you have to have real injuries, probably some type of surgical intervention, and surgeries aren't cheap. I don't know if you guys know this, but medical care is ridiculously expensive. So now we have a couple of different options. One, if you have private health insurance, you can start going through your private health insurance, and they have to pay these bills, right? They're going to have to pay them, but gotcha at the end, they're going to have a lien on your case. So let's say you have Humana.
Mm-hmm.
You have an accident. The $10,000 is wiped out just by the emergency room right away, right? The $10,000 PIP is gone. So, okay, don't worry, Brandon. I have private health insurance. Okay, fantastic. We'll go through the private health insurance, let them pay for all this medical treatment. But at the end of the case, they're going to have a lien against your case, meaning if they paid $200,000 in medical bills, they're going to say, we want our $200,000 back.
Yeah.
So then at that point, it's our job as your attorney to try to negotiate with them saying, look, Humana, my guy only got $500,000. And by the time they paid the legal fees, they only walked away with $300,000 or $325,000. There's no way they can pay you another $200,000. They're not going to get any money out of this case. So then we negotiate it. But don't think just because you have private health insurance that they're going to pay all these medical bills. We have to negotiate and we have to deal with the private insurer at the end. If you don't have private insurance or we don't want to go that direction, we typically have doctors that we work with quite a bit who will do what's called a letter of protection. Can you help me understand letter of protection?
A letter of protection is typically a document that a medical facility will send over to the attorney's office. They'll usually have the client sign it as well as the attorney, pretty much stating that, look, we're going to provide services for your client, I don't want to say for free, but we're not going to charge them right now. Eventually, what you're saying is once you settle the case or, win a verdict at trial, that you're going to pay us back, every medical bill that we are billing for your client.
321-282-1055. Behind the Law with me, Attorney Justin Clark. The website is youhavepower.com, youhavepower.com. You can listen nationwide on the iHeart Radio app or Facebook. You can watch us, ATTY Justin Clark. We're talking about personal injury today because I want to help you understand how it really works. And again, we've all seen these billboards out there that say, whoever got me $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. And I think as we drive by them, we really think that client got $1 million in their pocket. And we're like, wow, maybe I want to have an accident too.
No.
You got to read the small print, though, on those billboards. Yes. If you really look at it, it'll say before medical fees, attorney's fees, everything. If
you've ever been in an accident or want to know the steps to take if you are ever, God forbid, in an automobile accident, I want you to stick around. My name is Justin Clark. 321-282-1055. Behind the Law. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. My name is Justin Clark, and you are listening to Bud 94.1. The name of the show is Behind the Law. You can call us up, 321-282-1055. YouHavePower.com has plenty of information. You can also watch us live on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark. I've got Orlando radio legend Mick Dolan here with me, and Attorney Brandon Stewart as well from our office, who helps handle the personal injury cases that we have. A lot of people don't know we do personal injury. I think we've made a name for ourselves in the real estate bankruptcy world, but you almost have to do to be a consumer-driven law firm. You almost have to do personal injury. That's where the money's at, essentially, Mick. You know what I mean? That's really where people make the money. But this market is tough. I mean, this is the most saturated advertising market when it comes to personal injury attorneys in the nation. There's no doubt about that. And we have some excellent personal injury attorneys too. I mean, we really do. But so you're not really going to see me advertise for personal injury probably in this market But I think when clients hire us for other things, they learn to trust us and understand that we do handle personal injury cases. So then if they do have an accident, God forbid, they will come back and hire us later. But we're really going through a settlement. Let's say that you are in an accident and the insurance companies offer you $500,000. We've gone through what is really going to go in your pocket. Number one, you have to pay the legal fees, typically 33 to 40%. Which is a pretty big chunk of it. Don't get me wrong. You got to pay the legal cost. And then, maybe most importantly, we have to deal with the medical providers. I mean, to get $500,000, you had to have had some significant injuries and quite a bit of medical treatment. All right. So number one is you can go through your private health insurance if you have it, because PIP's going to cover the first 10,000, but the first 10,000 is not going to get you anywhere. That's an ER visit, essentially. And then anything else after that has to come out of your pocket or your private health insurance somehow, but we have to pay them back at the end because they're going to have a lien against the case. So how does it really work at the end? Let's say that we have $500,000, right, Brandon? We know we have to pay the attorneys $200 of that after cost and everything. It leaves $300, but I have $200,000 that I owe to my private health insurance company or to the doctors on an LOP. How do you deal with that?
Well, you have to reach out to whether it's the health insurance provider or the medical provider, and you explain to them that your client only reached this amount in the settlement, and that it would be beneficial for your client that they reduce the amount that they're asking for. And a lot of times, the doctors and also the medical providers, they understand, or the health insurance providers understand what's going on, and they will reduce these medical bills, and it also, doesn't hurt when I beg them and plead with them. But
that's what it takes. I mean, keep in mind, one of the biggest negotiations for us in any personal injury case, Mick Dolan, is the medical providers at the end. Right. Of course, we're working with the insurance companies. Yeah, I mean, that's a big negotiation. But when that negotiation ends, we are fighting with these medical providers to try to get them to reduce the bills so our client walks away with something. But here's a good rule of thumb. On a case like that, if you walk away with about 50 to 60% of that number on the billboard, that got me $1 million number, or got me $500,000, that's a pretty good day. And it's hard for people to understand sometimes. And it can be frustrating as a client because you're the one that's gone through the back pain, or you're the one that got cut open to deal with the herniation or whatever it was. You're the one that was in the hospital. You're the one that was scared for their life when you got rear-ended.
Right.
Yet, I'm only walking away with half of the number that the insurance company gave me, but it is what it is. It's just how it works. It's the nature of the beast.
It's not like winning the lottery.
No,
because you paid to get it. I mean,
although maybe it is, because when you see that number on the billboard for the lottery, it says $300 million. Yeah. But then you take the lump sum after taxes, it's normally what, half?
About half, yeah.
So maybe it is like the lottery.
Still a lot.
It's a big chunk for sure. So anyway, if you are going through any sort of issue or have any questions about an accident case that you're dealing with, 321-282-1055. YouHavePower.com. People ask me all the time, Mick, what kind of insurance do I need? I don't want to pay for this full policy. What should I get? And my answer is always the same. The first thing I want to know is, did your insurance agent discuss with you about a policy? Brandon Stewart, please tell me what a policy is.
Well, for our least sophisticated listeners, stands for uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist coverage. And I believe it's actually required in the state of Florida by the insurance, whoever sells you your insurance, you actually have to reject this policy. They have to explain to you what it is, and you actually have to sign off on it that you reject it. Now, what this policy is in the event that you are hit or you are involved in a car accident, the other side doesn't have insurance, or the other side doesn't have the required insurance to cover your injuries, which is known as a bodily injury protection portion of their policy. The uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist on your insurance policy will cover your personal or your injuries and your medical bills up to whatever the policy amount is. So it's not required, and bodily injury is also not required in the state of Florida. So it's very, very important that if you're driving and you want to protect yourself, that at the very least you have uninsured motorists to protect you in case you are hit in a car accident.
The problem is, as a state, we don't require people driving around in these missiles, right? These aluminum missiles, to have insurance that if they hit you like an idiot drunk at night, to cover your injuries. Not even 10 grand. It's not required. I mean, is this a joke? I mean, I understand that we don't want to force people to spend their money or whatever, but you're going to let a 17-year-old kid get out on Interstate 4 going 70 miles an hour and they're not required to have insurance if they hit me? You know? And this is why we need UM, because UM steps in just because that idiot didn't have insurance. They step in for that idiot and make sure that if you are injured and you have injuries, that you can recover. You can get your bills paid and maybe get some money out of it too for all of the pain and suffering.
So you're actually paying for that idiot.
You have to pay for that idiot. That's a very, very valid point. So number one is I want you to make sure you have UM coverage to protect you and your family. You might also want to look into an umbrella policy. An umbrella policy is over and above the insurance that you have in case you hit someone, especially if you're someone of some wealth or you have some assets, because there's no doubt about it. If you were to injure someone and you have a policy of $100,000 of BI, bodily injury, meaning the person that sues you can get $100,000 from your insurance company, doesn't mean they can't sue you. They can come sue you and try to take your house or your cars or whatever they want to take. So the umbrella policy, which is typically pretty inexpensive, which can go, $1 million typically is what I see for an umbrella policy, will cover that as well. So that way you don't have to worry about getting sued, not having enough insurance to protect you, and then they come take your stuff. Then they come get a judgment against you and take your car or whatever they're going to try to take your bank accounts. So I highly recommend, especially if you have assets, to look into an umbrella policy in case you injure someone else. Umbrella policy is very, very important. And then you have the BI policy. This is the typical one you see. I have 250, 500, or I have 100, 300, or whatever it is. This is the coverage that if you were to hit someone else, that your insurance company would pay them to try to settle their case. Explain to me, Brandon Stewart, when I say 250, 500, what does that mean? Why are there two numbers there?
So 250 is per person, 500 would be per accident. You have to use these odd numbers. You can't just give me like a 100, 300. 250 would be, oh God. So if there's two people in the car, 250 would be the most that either person could get. So person one could get 250, person two could get 250.
If there are four people in the car?
Okay, this is what I'm talking about, the math. Yeah. So if there's four people in the car, the most one.
What if there are 8 or 7.5 people in the car?
This is getting better. So if there's four people in the car, the most any one person can get is 250, but the most the entire car could get is 500. So amongst four people,
you gotta divvy that up.
You gotta divvy it up, exactly. You have to gauge who's more hurt, pretty much, and then divvy up to who gets more. But the most anybody could get in that type of situation would be 250 per that person.
Let's go through the process in a minute about the whole personal injury case from beginning to end, right? When you first have an accident, typically the police come, or sometimes they don't come. I mean, Brandon, what are your recommendations as far as getting a police report or some type of report?
So I would highly, first of all, I think Florida statute provides that you have to call the police for any kind of accident where the damage is more than $500. But regardless of which, if you're in a rush and you're trying to get to work or you're on the way to the airport or something crazy like that, and you just think like, well, the guy gave me his insurance information, we'll be okay. I would highly recommend that you just call the police and get yourselves a police report. The reason behind that is because the insurance companies, when they go to establish liability, they're going to look at that police report. And while a police report's typically inadmissible in a court of law, the insurance company will at least look at it, and that's how they really establish who's at fault in the accident. When you don't have that police report, now it becomes a he said, she said, and the insurance company, the person that hit you might think, maybe it was their fault, or, hey, I don't want my rates to go up. I'm going to tell my insurance company that this person, is their fault. And the insurance company's typically going to believe they're insured, and then they're going to do a whole investigation, and it just becomes super messy, and you don't want to deal with something like that. So I would advise you call the police always, and have the police come and file a report.
Here's what I found. When someone has caused an accident, they're absolutely no doubt about it at fault, right, Mick? Yeah. They're real nice on the scene. They're like, oh, I hope you guys are okay. We don't need to call the cops. You seem to be fine. I'm really sorry about what happened. Here's my card, and I'll take care of it. I will absolutely take care of it. You have nothing to worry about. But here's what happens. When the insurance companies start investigating it, and then Mr. Nice Guy who caused the accident gets the call from the insurance company, talks to his buddies, he realizes that his rates are going to go up or whatever. Now there's no police report. Now we're just hoping Mr. Nice Guy really wasn't just kind of being nice so you would just leave. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we have no proof. Other than if we do a reconstruction of the accident or it's very clear that there was a rear ender, we have no proof. So he's being really nice there on the scene because he wants to get on your good side. He doesn't want you to call the cops because now he has something to lie about later on. Maybe he's going to blame it on you. So his rates do not go up. My name is Justin Clark. The name of the show is Behind the Law, 321-282-1055. What to do after an auto accident? Right next on Bud 94.1. Welcome back to the show. My name is Justin Clark, right here on Bud 94.1, Behind the Law, 321-282-1055. Plenty of answers to your questions on the website, youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. You can watch this show live or any past show on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark, and you can listen worldwide on the iHeart app. 321-282-1055. As always, I have my good friend and Orlando radio legend Mick Dolan here with me today.
Happy to be here.
Happy weekend to you, sir.
Thank you.
Pushing the buttons, letting us borrow his studio from our sister station, 103.1 The Wolf. Is the afternoon guy, Skid? What's up, Skid?
Doing well,
Thanks
my
for
friend.
being here. Thanks for letting us borrow it, as always.
He's the man.
And Attorney Brandon Stewart from my office, who handles the personal injury matters in the office, is here to really tell you what to do after an accident. So the number one thing I want you to do after the accident is get a police report, okay? Let's not trust anything anyone says there. I see them flip their recreation all the time when they start talking to their insurance company. Their memory, all of a sudden, they didn't remember what happened.
Whoops.
Now it was your fault. This is what they say. So let's get a police report, number one, and then I want you to call us, and we'll guide you through it. But to go from accident to actual settlement is not something that happens very quickly, especially if you have injuries. It's not like you have the accident and I'm like, oh, we have a broken leg and some scratches on the arm. That's $12,000. It doesn't work like that. You've got to go through the entire medical treatment process before we ever even send a demand letter to the insurance company. Because how do we really know what your case is worth until we get through with the medical treatment? That's when the doctors, because a big part of your case is future medical care.
Right.
You know, how is this going to affect your life moving forward? That's going to be a big part of your case. So we can't really do that till we get to the end of the medical treatment. So once we get to a point that we call it MMI, maximum medical improvement, that's when the doctor says, you're not going to get any better. This is as good as it's going to get. This is what it's going to cost medically from now till the end of your life. And then this is what you're going to deal with medically the rest of your life. And that's when we send the demand letter. But to get to that point is a long process. And here's the thing I hear the most. When someone has an accident, they will call me or Brandon, and they will say, yeah, I feel okay. The next day, I feel a little something. The next day, my back hurts like hell. Brandon, does this not happen all the time?
All the time. And actually, it brings me to another point real quick. I think we need to discuss the 14-day rule in the state of Florida for our listeners. So the state of Florida, or at least through PIP laws, the personal injury protection laws, has kind of established a way. Because I think the idea behind this was there was a lot of insurance fraud going on with people who, were not as hurt as, were not really hurt, and they would report to their insurance company that they were hurt, and things like that. But in the state of Florida now, you have 14 days from the day of the accident to go get medical treatment for your personal injury protection policy to cover you for that $10,000 that we're talking about. In other words, if you don't treat for 14 days, your personal injury protection of your insurance has no obligation to pay for your medical bills. So it doesn't hurt to go get treated. We're not saying you have to go to the emergency room. Just go see a doctor, any doctor, for just once at least within that 14 days. So in case, like Justin was saying, you realize you're actually hurt 3 or 4 days later, sometimes maybe even 15 days later. Sure. I mean, it's possible.
Back.
Yeah, at the very least, you at least have that one treatment between that 14 days. So now PIP can cover you for that $10,000.
The pain will creep up on you. There's no doubt about it. I'm a tough guy. It's not. I'm going to be just fine. But then, especially if you have a job that requires some walking around, some moving around, it can really, really creep up on you. So if you're feeling anything, you've got to go see a doctor. Call us, and we'll tell you where to go. We'll tell you the good doctors versus the bad doctors. But see any doctor within 14 days. If not, you could lose that PIP coverage, that personal injury protection coverage. Will not cover you. So that's another $10,000 out of your pocket at the end because PIP's not going to pay that. So be very careful if you had an accident, especially a rear ender. If you're not feeling super pain day one, but it starts to creep up on you, we've got to go see someone, because the most important part of this whole deal is making sure you get better. I mean, one of my good friends had an accident here very recently. She's a pretty young girl, early 30s, and first day, not too bad. Second day, I feel a little something. Goes to work that next day, and I mean, she's in bed. I mean, she can't move. And I think this is probably a good time to clear something up, too, because a lot of people hate personal injury lawyers, right? And I don't blame. I understand. I get it. But I assure you, if you've been through it, or if someone very close to you has been through it, you probably have a little bit of a different respect for people like us. I mean, we'd still be driving Pintos, I believe, if it weren't for people like us. I think we have a very important job. We're not scumbags at all. At least my firm, absolutely not scumbags. Look, if you're talking to a lawyer and you go into their office and they're like, hey, well, I've got a doctor who will do surgery on you, it's going to help the value of your case, then you're probably at the wrong law firm.
Yeah, really.
Right? I don't want someone to put a knife in me just to help my case. Yeah. But if you're having so much pain and you need relief and you need surgery, then we need to get surgery. But I would urge you that if some lawyer is telling you to go get cut open at the hospital or at the surgical center just to help your case, it might not be the right guy or gal. Does that make sense? Isn't that scary?
Totally. Yeah.
I don't want to go get cut open just to help me get a little bit more money at the end, but oftentimes you need the surgery. Most of the time how it works is you're going to go to the doctor. They're going to send you to physical therapy, which isn't fun, by the way. You ever had physical therapy, man?
Many times.
It's tough.
I hear the massages aren't so bad.
Yeah.
Depends.
We'll do massage. We'll take massage, but physical therapy is hard. But that's what we would call what we would call conservative treatment. So after the accident, you're going to go to the doc. They're going to send you to physical therapy, which it can hurt, but it's supposed to make you better. So we're going to try conservative, some injections to try to give you pain relief. But if there's still significant pain, especially pain that radiates down your legs or down your arms, it's likely that you're going to need some type of surgical intervention. The good thing is, medically in this society, we've come a long way, and it's not like having open heart surgery. Let's put it that way. It's a lot more comfortable than it has been in the past, and many times they can fix your problem by just a little poke, essentially. Right. But there's still a recovery process. This is still something that it has a very big impact on your life. But number one, my goal is always to make sure you get back to 100% medically. I'll be taking care of the case behind the scenes. I want you to focus on making yourself better, because back pain sucks.
It does. It's the worst.
And especially if you're, in your 30s or 40s and you have an accident, we need to focus on getting the back better, because if not, your 50s and your 60s and your 70s is going to be really difficult.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So instead of focusing on the case, let's really focus on getting good doctors who are going to make you feel better so you have a decent quality of life the rest of your life. But at some point, we are going to get to MMI, maximum medical improvement. The doctor's going to say, Justin, Brandon, your client is as good as they're going to get. And we're going to put a permanent impairment rating on them. Brandon, explain permanent impairment rating to me.
So a permanent impairment rating is pretty much, I think the doctors use the American medical guidelines or something along those lines. It's some kind of reading material or some kind of handbook that they use to calculate everything that's wrong with the client and then kind of formulate it to a percentage as to what this client's impairment rating is, as to because of the injuries that the client has. This is the percentage that they're impaired. It's typically, so I don't know how to explain it better.
So they're gonna assign you a permanent impairment rating, basically saying that the permanency of your injury. I mean, this is the percentage of your body that's going to be affected the rest of your life. Okay, so the permanent impairment rating. They're going to give you that. They're also going to tell me what they think it's going to cost to continue treating you medically the rest of your life. So now we have a good idea of what sort of impact this accident is going to have on the rest of your life from this point forward. Now we decide we're going to send this demand letter into the insurance company and figure out what we're going to demand, right? How much are we going to ask for? And it's not an exact science. It really isn't an exact science. There are so many different variables involved. Number one, you got to look at liability. Was it certainly their fault? Was it 50% your fault, 50% their fault? You have to look at who really created the accident to determine how much you're going to get. Because let's say your accident's worth $100,000, but you're 50% at fault. How much do you get?
I mean, the insurance companies could argue that you get to $50,000.
So they're going to try to allocate your percentage downward if you have negligence as well. So liability is the number one key. Then you need to look at medical treatment. And then you have to look at pain and suffering. And then you have to look at future medical care. But this is the point.
Plus lost wages in case you've missed work and things like that.
And so at this point, we send this whole demand package into the insurance company and say, we're demanding this. Now, look, if they have $100,000 policy, we can't demand $500,000. I mean, we can from the actual negligent party, but from the insurance company, the most they can ever pay is $100,000. So we're demanding the entire $100,000. The insurance company will review it for 14 to 30 days, something like that, and then they'll come back and say, okay, Mr. Clark, we've reviewed the case. We're offering you $10,000. Well, we demanded 100. You're at 10? This is crazy. This is ridiculous. So that's when we really start negotiating with the insurance company. Now, I would say, 70, 80% of cases settle at that point. You know, maybe we'll meet in the middle. Maybe we settle at $50,000 or whatever it is. And then you settle, you get your check, and a few days later, and the case is over. Now, you're responsible for your medical treatment the rest of your life, so make sure you're getting enough to compensate you for what you're going to have to go through the rest of your life. But at that point, you settle the case. Or the insurance company says, no, we're only, because some of these insurance carriers are cheap. I mean, they are cheap. And they are just not, they will not pay you what a case is worth. Sometimes it's almost shocking. You see a client with the injuries they have and then see the low offers that the insurance company makes. But that's their job. Technically it's not their job. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But, this is called behind the law, right? I tell you what really goes on. Their job is to pay you as little as they possibly can. That's why you need us.
I think I've learned what insurance companies' favorite word is, and the word that I hear every single time is degenerative. What they're saying is these problems existed before the accident, and it's crazy because we've had clients that are 23, 22 years old. They're still trying to tell me that's a degenerative condition, and it's unbelievable.
We're talking about personal injury right here on Behind the Law, and next segment, one more segment, we're going to talk about if you're unable to settle with the insurance company, when to file suit and when not to file suit. Justin Clark, Behind the Law, Bud 94.1. Welcome back to Behind the Law with me, Attorney Justin Clark, on my favorite radio station, Bud 94.1. Any legal question that you have will be answered at 321-282-1055. If you don't want to talk to me, go to the website, www.youhavepower.com. You can watch this show live on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark, or worldwide, listen on the iHeart app with Orlando radio legend Mick Dole. And I've got Skid from 103.1 The Wolf and Attorney Brandon Stewart from my office talking about personal injury. I realize that you don't like personal injury attorneys. We're ambulance chasers or whatever, but it really is an important job. And I hope that today has shown you why it's an important job and why people get screwed all the time by insurance companies. These insurance companies, they take in money, right? They take in all of these premiums. They build their buildings. But then at the end of the day, it seems to me that their job is to give you as little money as possible. You know, you're the one with the herniations in your back. You can't even sit down for over 10 minutes, yet they're trying to lowball you. So that's why I think our job is pretty important. So don't think of us negatively as an ambulance chaser. Our job is a very important one. And if you've been through it, you know it is. Or if a close family member has been through it, you know it's important.
You basically need an advocate.
You have to
have somebody who knows what they're doing on your side.
Someone to go fight for you.
And real quick, I think we forgot to mention, whenever you get into an accident, we would strongly suggest not to talk to any insurance company following that accident. So what's going to happen is you're going to get into that accident, and you'll probably get a phone call from an insurance company, probably the other side's insurance company on it, if the other side reports the accident. And right away, they can try to offer you an amount for your personal injury. I mean, before you even go get treated. We've had that before where they try to just give a client what I call hush money, just to say, you know, maybe they don't realize that we don't want them to go to a lawyer, or, you know, if I offer them $5,000, they're going to think, whoa, $5,000, that's not bad. You know, I could use $5,000 right now, and they'll accept it right off the bat. I would suggest, please don't do that. Don't talk to any insurance company. Don't accept any amount of money right away.
So don't even call your insurance company?
I wouldn't even talk to your own insurance company, because there's certain things that they're trying to get out of you to maybe figure out, you know, certain ways that they might not cover you for your injuries and things like that.
Absolutely agree.
So they'd find out from the police report, or
right, or from us. You know, we can you know, give the facts as to what happened and things like that, and we control whether we want, you know, to allow. Their insurance company is allowed to do a recorded statement, but the other side's insurance company, they're always going to ask to do a recorded statement of your client. And we can absolutely refuse that. The other side's insurance company does not have a right to talk to your client, to the client, and that's why we would absolutely suggest that, you know, whenever you get called by the at-fault insurance company, you just don't talk to them at all. I mean, it might sound good if they're offering you some money, but if they're offering you money now, that means they're offering you a lot more later on.
So he's right. And I wouldn't talk to your own insurance company either. You're like, well, it's my own insurance company, but they're trying to figure out ways to not cover you often. So be very careful. Talk to a lawyer first. Call us. Call whoever you trust as your attorney before you talk to any insurance company whatsoever. So, all right, we've been through the entire process. You had the accident. You've gotten all the medical treatment. We've sent the demand to the insurance company, and they're lowballing you. They're saying, we're only going to give you $10,000, and we know for a fact the case is worth $100,000. Now we've got to file suit, and people often don't like to file suit, and the main reason is it takes a lot of time. So if you file suit, just go ahead and get geared up for a year. I mean, it's going to be some time, more than likely, and here's what you may not know. So as your lawyer, we get paid at the end of the case, right? We get paid a certain percentage of the recovery at the end. When we sue the insurance company or the negligent driver, they hire an insurance company attorney who gets paid by the hour. So they want to milk the case. They want the case to drag on because that's how they get paid. They get paid per the hour, whether it's $200, $300, $400 an hour. They're going to get paid hour. Look, I'm not saying all lawyers want to drag it out by any means. I'm not saying that, defense counsel. I don't, please don't say I'm saying that for real. But just naturally speaking, you would think that if you get paid by the hour, you'd want to bill some time, right?
Sure.
Just, that's a rational human thought, right? I'm not accusing the defense bar of anything. I'm just saying that you get paid hourly, you probably want to spend some time, right? So it's going to probably take a year. So you file suit. We file a lawsuit against the negligent driver. They have insurance, so the insurance company is the one that actually pays the lawyer to represent John Smith, who hit you. And then the process after that is called discovery. So we're going to go through the discovery process, meaning They're going to come take your deposition. We're going to have to respond to a bunch of requests to produce or requests for admissions. And there's a really a long process of discovery that's going to go on until that attorney, that insurance company feels like they have a really good understanding of the case and understanding of the damages. And then more times than not, after that, how long would you say on average this discovery process rolls on?
Somewhere between 6 months to a year.
And then once that's finally done, you have your next best shot at settling your case. The best shot of settling the case at the beginning is when you're negotiating with the insurance company before filing suit. The next best shot of settling the case is after the discovery is over, you're 9 times out of 10 going to go to a mediation. So we're going to go into a room. It's going to be me, you. We're going to have the insurance company on one side, the insurance company attorneys, maybe the guy who hit you, maybe not. And then we're going to have a mediator, a neutral third party, typically retired attorney or retired judge who's going to be there. We're all going to be in the same room. And we're going to go through our whole spiel. This is what happened. This was our medical treatment. This is our demand. And then